You know that feeling when your friends are pushing you to do something you're not ready for? That voice in your head screaming no, but your mouth saying yes because you don't want to be the odd one out? 22-year-old Chioma was about to make a decision that would change her life forever. Not because she wanted to, but because she was tired of being called the good girl, the church mouse, the one who doesn't know how to enjoy life. What happened next didn't just break her heart, it shattered her entire world in ways she never saw coming. This is her story, and if you have a daughter, a sister, or you're a young woman yourself, you need to hear this. Chioma lived in a 3-bedroom flat in Surulere with her older sister Ada and 2 cousins who came to Lagos to find themselves. The flat was always buzzing with energy, music, laughter, gossip sessions that lasted till 3 a.m., and those deep conversations about life, love, and why Nigerian men are the way they are. She worked as a customer service rep at a fintech company in Yaba. The pay wasn't bad for a first job, $150K monthly, enough to send something home to mama in Enugu, buy Brazilian hair when necessary, and still have transport money. She wasn't rich, but she wasn't suffering either. But here's the thing about Chioma that made her different from her roommates. She had boundaries. While Ada was entertaining her sponsor every weekend, a married man who paid her rent and bought her the new iPhone, Chioma politely declined when Ada tried to hook her up with his friends. While her cousins, Ngozi and Blessing, rotated boyfriends like they were changing hairstyles, going from one situationship to another, Chioma maintained that she wanted something real, something meaningful. "Love is patient, love is kind," she would quote from 1 Corinthians, and her roommates would groan. "Chioma, a beg, shift from that religious talk," Blessing would say, applying her red lipstick in the mirror. "This is Lagos. You need to wise up. Use what you have to get what you want. Nobody is giving anybody husband material anymore. Collect your money, collect your gifts, and keep it moving." "But that's not who I am," Chioma would protest weakly. "Then who are you?" Ada would challenge her. "The Virgin Mary? Babe, you're 22 years old. You're not getting any younger. All your mates are chopping life, and you're here forming holier than thou. Even pastors' daughters are doing their thing quietly." These conversations happened weekly, monthly, every time they went out together, and Chioma was the only one who came home alone. Every time a guy offered to drop her off and she said, "No thank you, she'll take Uber." Every time she declined invitations to weekend getaways and boat cruises that her roommates attended and came back from with shopping bags and new gold jewelry. The pressure was constant, relentless, suffocating. "What are you keeping yourself for, Seth?" Ngozi asked one Saturday afternoon when they were all getting ready to go to a birthday party in Lekki. "You think Prince Charming is coming to knock on our door?" Chioma didn't have a smart answer. She just knew that her body was hers, and she wanted her first time to mean something, to be with someone who loved her, not someone who saw her as another conquest. But the more they teased her, the more she started feeling like maybe she was the foolish one. Maybe she was missing out on life because of some outdated values her mother had drilled into her head. "You people should leave her alone," Ada said that evening, but there was mockery in her voice. "Our Chioma is special. She's waiting for wedding night. Meanwhile, the men she's waiting for are busy testing all the other girls before they come to marry her as second-hand goods." That statement hit Chioma like a slap. Second-hand goods. Is that what men really thought? That the experienced girls were used and the virgins were prizes? Or was it the opposite, that men wanted women who knew what they were doing? She was confused, lost, and slowly the voices of her friends were becoming louder than the voice of wisdom in her head. The party in Lekki was exactly what you'd expect. Loud music, expensive drinks, people showing off designer outfits they probably rented, and that thick smell of perfume mixed with ambition that hangs in the air at every Lagos party. Chioma felt out of place immediately. While her roommates scattered to mingle, she stood by the drinks table nursing a bottle of Smirnoff Ice, watching couples grind on the dance floor and groups of girls taking endless Instagram photos. That's when she met Dubem. Tall, handsome, well-dressed in that effortless way that suggested money without trying too hard. He approached her with confidence, but not arrogance, his smile warm and disarming. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else but here," he said, leaning against the table beside her. Chioma laughed despite herself. "Is it that obvious?" "Very. I'm Dubem, and you are?" "Chioma." They talked for over an hour. He was funny, intelligent, asked about her job, and actually listened to her answers. He didn't try to impress her with talk of money or connections. He just talked to her like she was interesting, like she mattered. When Ada and the others found her, they were thrilled. "Babe, you finally opened your eyes," Blessing whispered excitedly, pulling her aside. "That's Dubem. He works in oil and gas. He has serious money. Don't fumble this bag, oh." "It's not like that," Chioma protested. "We were just talking." "Just talking?" Ngozi laughed. "Chioma, wake up. This is your chance. He's feeling you. Don't do your usual church girl routine and chase him away." When Dubem asked if she wanted to leave the noisy party and grab food somewhere quieter, her roommates practically pushed her toward the door. "Go," Ada hissed, "and this time don't come back here too early. Let something happen for once." In the Uber to the restaurant, Chioma's phone buzzed with messages. Ada, "Don't mess this up." Blessing, "Finally, character development." Ngozi, "If you come back here tonight, I'll personally disown you." The pressure was immense, not from Dubem, he was being perfectly respectful, but from the expectations weighing on her shoulders, the years of being called boring, outdated, too careful, too religious, too much of a good girl. Maybe it was time to be someone else, just for one night. Dinner was lovely. Dubem was charming, attentive, everything a girl could want. When he suggested they go back to his place just to talk and watch a movie, Chioma's heart started racing. She knew what that meant. Everyone knew what that meant. I don't know," she stammered. "No pressure," Dubem said smoothly. "We can just chill. I'm not trying to do anything you're not comfortable with." But the voices in her head were louder than his words. Her roommates' voices, society's voice, that nagging feeling that maybe she was missing out, that maybe this was what being a modern woman meant. Against every instinct screaming at her to say no, she heard herself say, "Okay." His apartment was nice, too nice, the kind of nice that came from money and probably multiple female visitors who never stayed long enough to leave personal items behind. Everything happened fast after that. One moment they were sitting on the couch watching some Netflix show she couldn't focus on. The next moment he was kissing her, and her mind went blank with panic and peer pressure and the desperate need to finally be normal. She didn't enjoy it. It hurt, emotionally more than physically. She felt disconnected from her own body, like she was watching herself from outside, wondering who this girl was and why she was doing this. When it was over, Dubem was sweet. He held her, stroked her hair, told her she was special. All the right words. But Chioma felt hollow, empty, like she'd traded something precious for absolutely nothing. "I should go home," she whispered. "Already? It's barely midnight. I need to go." He called her an Uber, kissed her forehead, said he'd text her tomorrow. She nodded mechanically, knowing somehow that tomorrow would never come. In the Uber, she cried silently, her phone buzzing with excited messages from her roommates asking for details. She couldn't bring herself to respond. She had done it. She had finally done what everyone said she should do. She had stopped being the good girl, the boring one, the church mouse. So why did she feel like she had just lost herself? Dubem didn't text the next day, or the day after. When Chioma finally got the courage to message him 3 days later, his reply was cold and brief. "Hey, I'm really busy with work. I'll hit you up when I'm free." He never did. A week later, she saw on Instagram that he was at another party with another girl, his arm around her waist in the same casual way he'd held Chioma. Her roommates tried to comfort her, but their words felt empty. That's how men are. At least you got the experience. Better to find out now than to catch feelings. You'll be fine. There are plenty more guys. But Chioma wasn't fine. She felt used, dirty, like she'd given away something irreplaceable for a man who saw her as entertainment for one night. The worst part, she couldn't even blame Dubem. He hadn't forced her, hadn't lied about wanting a relationship. She had made the choice. She had ignored her own values, her own boundaries, her own voice, all because she was tired of being different. 2 weeks later, the physical symptoms started. Unusual discharge, burning sensation, fear gripped her heart. The clinic visit confirmed her worst nightmare. She had contracted an STI. Treatable, thank God, but the shame was crushing. "It's chlamydia," the doctor said clinically. "Very common. We'll give you antibiotics. Make sure your partner gets treated too." Partner? She didn't even have his real number, just a WhatsApp contact that was now blocked. Sitting in that clinic, paying for medication she couldn't afford, Chioma finally understood. The price of that one night wasn't just her dignity or her peace of mind. It was her health, her self-respect, her sense of who she was. She had betrayed herself. Not for love, not even for desire, but for peer pressure, for the approval of people who wouldn't have to live with the consequences. 3 months later, Chioma moved out of the flat in Surulere. She couldn't live with the constant reminders, the questions, the judgment masked as concern. She found a small, self-contained apartment in Ikea. It was lonely at first, but it was hers, a space where she could rebuild herself without commentary from the peanut gallery. She stopped going to parties, stopped trying to fit into a lifestyle that never fit her in the first place, started going back to church, not because she was religious, but because she needed community with people who valued the same things she did. Slowly, painfully, she learned to forgive herself. One evening, 6 months after that terrible night, she was scrolling through social media when she saw a post from a girl she vaguely knew. The caption read, "To every young woman, your body is not a democracy. You don't make decisions about it based on popular vote." Chioma saved that post, read it every time she felt weak or confused or tempted to compromise herself again. She realized something crucial. Peer pressure doesn't end at adolescence. It follows you into adulthood, taking different forms: friends, colleagues, social media, society's expectations of how a modern woman should act. But maturity isn't about doing what everyone else is doing. It's about having the courage to stand alone when necessary. A year later, Chioma met someone, a guy from her church's young professionals group. They took things slow. Coffee dates, phone calls, genuine conversations. When he eventually asked why she was so cautious, she told him the truth. "I made a mistake once. Let peer pressure convince me to be someone I wasn't. I learned the hard way that other people's opinions about my life aren't worth my peace." He respected that, and 3 years later, he became her husband. Not because she was perfect, not because she had no past, but because she learned who she was and refused to be anyone else, no matter how much pressure she faced. Chioma's story isn't unique. Across Lagos, across Nigeria, across the world, young women are making decisions they don't want to make because the pressure to fit in is overwhelming. Your friends' life choices are not a roadmap for yours. What works for them might destroy you. What they can handle emotionally might break you completely. The girls pressuring you today won't be there when you're dealing with STIs, unwanted pregnancies, heartbreak, or shame. They'll move on to the next topic, the next joke, the next person to pressure. But you you have to live with your choices. Your body is yours. Your values are yours. Your timeline is yours. Don't let anyone, friend, boyfriend, society, rush you into decisions your heart isn't ready for. Yes, you might be called boring, old-fashioned, too serious, too religious, too careful. But boring is better than broken. Old-fashioned is better than infected. Too careful is better than too late. Chioma survived her mistake and learned from it, but not everyone is that lucky. Some girls' stories don't have happy endings. Some mistakes can't be undone. So before you say yes to something you want to say no to, ask yourself, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for them? Because at the end of the day, they won't live with the consequences, but you will. If this story touched you, please share it with every young woman in your life. Your sister, your daughter, your friend who's struggling with peer pressure right now. Comment below, what would you say to someone facing this kind of pressure? Have you ever made a decision you regretted because of what others thought? Share your story. Your experience might save someone else. And remember, the right path isn't always the popular one, but it's the one that lets you sleep at night with your peace intact. Hit that subscribe button if you want more real-life stories that tackle the issues nobody wants to talk about, but everyone is facing. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that might change your perspective or save someone's life. Share this video especially with young people who need to hear this message before it's too late. Your story isn't over. Your mistakes don't define you, but your choices from this moment forward, those will shape everything. Choose wisely, choose for yourself, choose with wisdom. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and remember, you are worth more than anyone's opinion of you. God bless you.